name is Carr, and I work with the Timothy Initiative. And the Timothy Initiative is a ministry that focuses on men struggling with addiction and incarceration and homelessness and some other, mental illnesses. They provide housing and work and community, all centered around Jesus.
And I am Lindsay Carr, and I am the former executive director for Timothy Initiative, and I currently serve with Created, who serves women survivors of human trafficking, and Well Built Cities, which is a social enterprise venture studio that we serve what we would say is like the baseline needs of food, transportation, and shelter. When I stepped into the role of executive director with the Timothy Initiative, it was a little bit of a complicated transition, and I felt really ill-equipped for it. And there was also just a lot of pieces to balance in it. What I learned in that time was how faithful God is in all of it. We were in a funding crisis. We had some complicated relationships happening. We had men that we were serving that some of them had a really high level of need. I felt stressed all day, every day, but it felt coupled with hope of that wasn't a permanent situation. And I just had to remind myself of that. And I did see God work in really miraculous ways through funding for the ministry, through healed relationships that came on the other side of that. But it took a long time to get there. I think I did the best I could at that time with what I had. God would just give these moments of faithfulness in sometimes really miraculous ways. And it kept us pushing forward.
So over the past 10 years of being in leadership with the Timothy Initiative, you've grown quite fond of certain guys. You bond more with some than others. And you'll develop relationships with them, plant seeds with them, grow with them. And you become intertwined in their life. You get to see restoration happening. You get to see just a new man being born. And then they leave. And more often than not, it's not on super great terms. Sometimes they just leave in the middle of the night. You never even get to say goodbye. Other times it's a little more heart-wrenching because you have multiple conversations with them over and over and again and trying to explain to them that they are playing with their life and they don't want to listen. They can't see the forest for the trees. They want what they want and they're going to throw it all away. When that happens quite a few times, it's inevitable to become calloused unless you are really, really more like Jesus than anybody I've ever met. And that happened to me. I stopped learning the guys' names. I wouldn't really talk to guys that hadn't been there for more than a few months. These weren't things I was doing intentionally. This was almost like a trauma response that was being formed. And I'm not proud of it, but it was just something that started happening. And even to this day, I have to be very intentional in keeping that door to my heart open. I want to be part of the solution. I want to be the person that helps carry on the message. And it's going on 12 years now. I'm still struggling with that. And then I have to step back and realize that it's not about me and my relationship with them. It's about them and their relationship with God and finding their own path. It's about Jesus and it's about them being restored. Leading people while you're going through something, the first thing that pops to mind is, Paul saying, if you don't know, just look at me, watch what I'm doing. I always get first a little bit of condemnation from that oh man, he's got all of the answers, and people are supposed to look at me like I have all of the answers. And that is wrong, I think, is the worst way that you could look at that scripture. What he really is talking about, at least to me in those moments, is the abiding or the obedience. We're not necessarily supposed to have all of the answers. We're supposed to point to the one who has all of the answers. That is our job. If one thing I have learned being in recovery and also following Jesus is that when you are helping somebody else get through something and you are pointing to the Father, it shows a reflection of exactly what you should be doing with whatever it is that you are struggling with.
I think my advice to someone that is enduring in ministry in this season is to keep going, and that there is another side. And it might be a few weeks, and it might be a few months, and it might be a few years. We don't always get to know how long that season will be. And the other thing I would say is just ensure you are surrounded with a supportive system, but keep going, because it won't last forever. I think sometimes enduring is just keeping faith that we don't always understand what's happening right now. But God's timing and God's will is perfect.